give some brief remarks. Chester isn't going to say really anything today. Maybe just like, how does it feel to get those DNA results back?
It's wonderful.
What?
It's really wonderful.
That
It's great.
it's going to make me want to cry. Really appreciate the support.
Yeah, we do so much.
This has been a long road. We're not done, as you can tell if you were in court today. So there's not too much more Chester can say because we're not done yet. We'll be done when the conviction's vacated. Then we'll have a lot to say, okay? Today, as you heard, was the first step. So I want to make a couple points. There's always going to be naysayers and people that just, how do you convince somebody who thinks the earth is flat? I can't convince that person, right? The earth isn't flat. Chester Weger had nothing to do with the Starved Rock murders. This DNA alone proves that. You want to argue that the DNA, the hair is not relevant? It is relevant. It's on the finger of Miss Murphy of the glove where her fingertip was cut off. So don't tell me it's not a relevant hair. It was so relevant that the state in 1960 tested a very similar hair from the left index finger. And you know what? If it had been Chester Weger's in 1960, do you think they would have used it at trial? Hell yes. So I don't want to hear that the hair is not relevant. The hair itself is checkmate. There's going to be people who don't believe that, but it is. It's not Chester Weger's hair. And then people are going to want to change the narrative. Oh, maybe it's somebody that Chester Weger did the crime with. Okay, now we're going to just keep moving the goalposts. Now we're going to change the story. The story was Chester Weger, on his break, bludgeoned these 3 ladies in a brutal crime scene and went back to work. Now we're going to change the story. But here's the thing. I encourage all of you, raise your hand if you've heard my podcast. Thank you.
Yes.
If you've heard the podcast, you know it's not just this DNA result. This is the final. I've been saying it's a jigsaw puzzle. This was the final piece today. We just put that piece. If it's a jigsaw puzzle that says justice, the final piece, the J, was put in the puzzle today. Okay? Because everything else we've done in the case, if you've been listening, let's just start with, before we get into the evidence, the confession was ridiculous. Even the prosecutor thought it was ridiculous. It made no sense. The whole story made no sense. Nobody believed it at the time, right? I talk in the podcast, I break down the trial. The Twine evidence got misrepresented. That was not true. All these things about the crime alone. But then the first big break, as you podcast people know, was the Lois Zelensek memo. A telephone number. It's a 2-page police report. It's not me making it up. It's an Illinois State Police report where an operator overheard 2 men talking about the crime. The kid's got the bloody overalls in the trunk of a car. He's wondering what to do with them. They say, get rid of them. Well, let's pause. They trace the call from a bar in Aurora owned by a guy named Glenn Palmatier to his brother William in Peru. These guys know about the bloody overalls in the trunk of the car. They know it's related to the murder. They're in on it, right? They're not reporting the kid who's got the bloody overalls. And they don't say, significantly, well, the operator misheard us. She misinterpreted it. We weren't talking about bloody overalls related to the Starved Rock murders. We were talking about something else. No, they denied there even was a call, but it's traced to Bill Palmatier's house in Peru.